What's up, guys? It's Overhaul Gaming. We are back with This Week at Bungie. Today we'll learn a lot of things about the Sandbox changes. This is a pretty hefty Twab. We have the news about the next Twab is going to be on Wednesday, as next Thursday is going to be Thanksgiving in the States. So they are going to be spending some time with the family. So we are expecting the next Twab to be on Wednesday next time. So there's going to be a lot of things that are going to separate PvE and PvP on the game. So it's going to be a lot of nerfs on PvP, and there's going to be a lot of buffs on PvE as well to compensate from those nerfs as well. So winds of change. So basically, Flux Grenade, for example. We're going to take a look at the Flux Grenade. So the Flux Grenade is going to be increased, the base cooldown from 82 seconds to 182 seconds. Now, increase attached detonation damage from 150 to 250. So basically, it's a one-shot kill on PvP. And it's going to be increased damage versus PvE combatants by 15% on top of the base damage increase. So basically for PvE, they are going to be increasing even more damage to make it more relevant. Obviously, the actual cooldown period is not, obviously, it's going to be the same PvP wise. So to compensate from that, they are going to make, the abilities, for example, the Flux Grenade, more relevant and deal a lot more damage. So they have removed the projectile tracking and added a small amount of aim assist, increased the throw speed by 117%, and now sticks to all surfaces. As you can see, obviously with the long cooldown, that's what's going to happen. They actually changing the damages. It's a one-hit kill, so that's going to be quite dangerous. But now it's not going to be it's going to be spam as often. So you're going to have to be more careful when you're going to be using your Flux Grenade. So the Fireball Grenade. So they reduce the base cooldown from 82 seconds to 64 seconds, and they reduce the damage per bolt from 90 to 65. Increase the damage versus PvE combatants by 15% to bring them up together with the actual rest of the grenades, who are going to be obviously increase the base cooldown, but the damage is going to be increased. So with this, it's going to have another, obviously it's going to make it easier to have it, to be using the grenades and to be relevant grenades for PvE content as well. So basically, as you can see on the character abilities, so we are going to have a new menu, which is going to be at the bottom, and it's going to have the tier melee ability cooldown. So basically, what's going to happen is going to tell you at tier 4 what the cooldown is going to be, and it's going to tell you the cooldown that you have right now. So you have 39 out of 100 strength, so your melee ability cooldown is going to be 1 minute and 30 seconds. If you go to tier 4, melee ability cooldown is going to go down to 1 minute and 15 seconds. So we're going to get the information right on the menu, on the character stats. And then we're going to have the base cooldown time is actually the cooldown time at tier 3 and the relevant armor stat, the strength, the discipline, etc. And this is because the system technically penalizes you for tanking your stats below tier 3, in which case your cooldown will be longer than the base. You are looking into updating this to be more intuitive in the future release. So cooldown times for class abilities are not currently displayed due to a technical issue. We plan to fix this in a future release. So now, there is some extra things. So basically, for example, they have increased all grenade damage versus PvE combatants by 15% or more. So that's basically to compensate for the longer cooldowns and to make them more relevant against bigger enemies as well. So into the fray, we're gonna check, for example, we're gonna take a quick look at the super energy. So it's basically there's a few things that have changed, that are gonna be changing on the sandbox as well regarding supers. So in PvE, super uptime should be relatively unchanged from the live game, if not slightly higher. So basically everybody should get at least one super in a 6v6 match that goes on to the score or time limit as long as they engage in regular combat. Supers should be less frequent in 3v3 modes, aka trials, than in the live game, where 2 supers per match is a fairly regular occurrence. So they're trying to mitigate those 2 supers on a 3v3 game, because the snowballing is very easily happening. So with these changes are gonna make the supers to be more relevant to be used. Primary weapon play should be a noticeable benefit in super energy regeneration. So now primary weapon is gonna be a really good benefit for your super energy regeneration, and different supers should come online at different times in a given match, and your super of choice should be an impact on how quickly it regenerates. So actually they're gonna make more emphasis on gunplay on Destiny and PvP instead of having so many abilities. So that's a great change. I would say this is actually one of the best changes on Destiny. We are going back to its roots, to PvP, weapon, gun versus gun gameplay. So there is not so many abilities, not so many supers, and it's gonna be more gunplay. Now, on launching on December 7th, so basically this is the super recharge, like basically the recharge ratio. So the tier 5, which is gonna be the fastest regeneration super, is gonna be the Well of Radiance. The tier 4 is gonna be Blade Barrage, Silence and Squall. Tier 3, Shadow Shot, Burning Maul, Arc Staff, Nova Bomb, and Thunder Crash. Tier 2 is going to be Golden Gun, Chaos Reach, Nova Warp, Storm Trance, Daybreak, Sentinel Shield. And the Tier 1, which is the slowest regeneration super, is going to be Spectral Blades, Face of Havoc, Hammer of Soul, Glacial Quake, and Winter's Wrath. So these are basically the most powerful supers, and those are gonna be obviously they're gonna be affected by the changes on the sandbox. So that's actually great. So we're gonna have taking that a notch. So basically what's gonna happen on PvP combat sandbox, weapons are the primary way players engage in combat. Great news. Non-super abilities accentuate or augment the combat, but should rarely solve an encounter by themselves. That's an awesome change. This is what a lot of people are relying on right now, in your abilities to win the combats, the 1v1 combat. So that's actually going to change, and it's going to be more gunplay. Abilities have clear strengths, weaknesses, and counterplay. Build crafting is rewarding with the moment-to-moment combat loop on Destiny. So that's actually great. You have to build your actually base. You have to build your build, your character, and what do you want to focus on. Now, exotic pieces, we have tuned PvP energy regeneration separately from their base PvE values, which are not changing. So that's not gonna be changing. And next thing is subclass neutral game perks. So basically these perks have had their ability energy regeneration reduced by roughly 50% on PvP. So it's the Whisper of Shards, Stasis Fragment, the Arc Web, the Stormcaller Warlock, the Rising Storm, the Ionic Traces, the Electrotastic Surge, Aftershocks, Inertia Override, Benevolent Dawn, Practice Makes Perfect, and Dark Matter. So those have been obviously reduced by roughly 50% on PvP. And also the subclass in super perks, they had no change has been made to the Refund Decay against PvE combatants, but they have rescaled the energy refund decay more aggressively in PvP. So basically the Everlasting Fire from the Dawnblade Warlock and the Trample from the Striker Titan. So basically next thing is gonna be the exotic armor. So basically of the Frosties, we have no longer stacks multiplicatively in PvP with all the regeneration buffs. Is now an additive scaler. No changes in PvE. Heart of Innos Light. Ability energy regeneration scalars reduced by 50% on PvP. Reworked, so activating multiple abilities will now reliably result in multiple empowered stacks. The stacking behavior was previously a bug, but this seemed like a good opportunity to promote it into a feature. The Contraverse Hold duration of the grenade regeneration buff is no longer random between 1 and 4 seconds, and is now fixed duration of 1.75 seconds. Reduce grenade energy regeneration scalar by 50% on PvP. The previous average duration due to the waiting was 1.71 seconds, with a 1 second duration being most common. So this should improve the exotics consistency across the game with a lower return in PvP. Doomfang Pauldrons reduce the super energy gain on activation when an opposing player is killed by a void melee by 50%, no changes on PvE. Shinobu's Bow reduce grenade energy gain on hits versus players by 66%. Wow, no changes on PvE. Crown of Tempest, grenade, melee, and super energy regeneration scalar, both duration reduced from 7 seconds to 4 seconds in PvP. No changes on PvE. The stack, reduce class ability energy refund on shield break by 50% on PvP. No changes on PvE. The stack is one of the most used exotics right now on Trials of Osiris by the Warlocks. Armor mods. So basically, in general, they reduce energy returns from these mods by roughly 50% on PvP again. So we got melee kickstart, grenade kickstart, utility kickstart, perpetuation, bolstering detonation, focusing strike, bomber, outreach, dynamo, distribution, momentum transfer, and impact reduction. So there is a huge amount of changes on PvP, like I said, on everything, mods, exotics, abilities, everything is changing. So we are gonna go into probably the most controversial subject about Destiny, which is stasis. So stasis is gonna get a nerf as well. So stasis crystals do a lot of damage on top of the freezing, and they kill, and it's everything. So basically what they're gonna be doing to the stasis crystals. So while forming stasis crystals, now slow nearby players instead of freezing them. They still freeze PvE combatants while forming. Increase the slow freeze radius while forming from 1.75 meters to 2.6 meters, and reduce the crystal detonation damage versus players by roughly 55%. So that's a huge damage reduction. Increase crystal detonation damage versus PvE combatants by roughly 60%. We have increased crystal detonation radius from 6 meters to 8 meters. So they're actually going to make the detonation a larger radius. It's going to have a like increased radius on the slow and freeze, but the damage versus players is going to be a roughly 55% less. So that's huge. Hunters, the dodge. So basically the hunter dodge no longer breaks projectile tracking. Marksman dodge, tier 10 mobility cooldown increase from 11 seconds to 14 seconds, and the base cooldown unchanged at 29 seconds. And the gambler's dodge, tier T mobility cooldown increase from 11 to 18 seconds, base cooldown duration from 29 to 38 seconds. Revenant. So basically Revenant is gonna get the shatter drive. There you go, that's what I want to know. Shatter Dive, much less lethal versus players due to stasis crystal changes. So much more lethal versus combatants due to stasis crystal changes. So basically PvE is going to be more lethal, and it's going to be a lot less lethal against PvP combatants. Increase shatter damage versus frozen PvE combatants by 100%. Grim Harvest Aspect, increase the fragment slot from 2 to 3 actually. And now the top 3 Arc Strider. Combination Blow, reduce the base cooldown duration from 96 seconds to 15 seconds only. Bottom 3 Night Stalker, the Vanishing Smoke melee, reduce the base cooldown from 96 seconds to 75 seconds. That's actually good changes. I like to have the sandbox being shaken up a little bit and change the way we play. So now we're gonna go with the Titan. Shoulder charges. Okay, so all shoulder charges no longer one-shot players. Wow, no longer one-shot players on all shoulder charges. So that's crazy. That's gonna be a good change. I actually think that's gonna be a great change. Let's see what happens now. Sprint activation time reduced from 1.5 seconds to 1.25 seconds. Increase the range from 5.5 to 6.8, and the targeting cone length increased by 10% roughly. Increase damage versus PvE combatants by 25%. Seismic Strike, the Arc Shoulder Charge, reduce the area of effect damage from 90 to 40. Now blinds enemies in the area of the hit. Increase base cooldown from 82 to 90 seconds. The Shield Bash, the Void Shoulder Charge, reduce the area of effect damage from 90 to 40. Increase the base cooldown from 82 seconds to 90 seconds. And the Hammer Strike, the Solar Shoulder Charge, we have the reduced direct impact damage from 170 to 120 and increase the base cooldown to 90 seconds from 82 as well. So there is some changes as well on the barricade. Those are great changes on the shoulder charge, on the strikers, on the hammer and the void subclasses for the titan. This is a big hit to all the titans out there on PvP. So now, barricade, the towering barricade increased the base cooldown duration from 37 seconds to 40 seconds, and the rally barricade increase it's been reduced from 37 seconds to 32 seconds. The behemoth, the diamond lance, increased the fragment slot from 1 to 3. Now spawns a diamond lance upon killing a PvE combatants with the stasis weapon, killing 3 players with the stasis weapons in a single life, killing an enemy with a stasis ability, or shattering an enemy. The Shiver Strike increased the Shiver Strike damage while in Glacial Quake by 50%, and the Whisper of Chains increased the damage resistance versus PvE combatants from 25% to 40%. So the bottom 3 striker for the Titans, the Knockout, melee launch range and melee damage bonus now deactivated after a melee kill. Trample, super energy gain from Fist of Havoc, light attack now decays to minimum amount over 3 PvP kills, down from 7 before. And the frontal assault melee increased the base cooldown from 82 seconds to 106 seconds. And the Fist of Havoc heavy slam radius reduced from 8 meters to 6 meters on the bottom 3 only. Now let's go on to the Warlock. Let's see what the Warlock is gonna be hit with. So on charge melee, so reduce the melee range from 5.5 meters to 4.5 meters. Now matches the Hunter and the Titan as well. So they have reduced the suppression time after melee. So basically you can now melee back to back at the same time, at the same speed as the Hunter and the Titan. Middle 3 Void Walker. Handheld Supernova. Reduce the damage versus players. Now deals 150 damage max. Increase the damage versus champions and bosses by 30%. Increase the projectile range from 12 meters to 14 meters. And now pushes targets away from the Warlock on detonation. Nova Warp. Increase damage versus champions and bosses by 30%. It's gonna be unchanged on PvP. Shade Binder. So basically with the Shade Binders, we're gonna find Winter's Wrath is gonna be reduced to Shatter Pulse damage versus enemy supers, and now must now generally freeze and shatter all supers twice to eliminate. That's actually great change. Penumbra Blast, increase the proximity detonation radius versus PvE combatants by 100%, and Bleak Watcher. While Bleak Watcher is equipped, all stasis grenades charge at Glacier Grenade rate. So that's all for the changes on the Sandbox. On Destiny, coming in December 7th, with the Bungie's 30th anniversary coming to Destiny. Let's go and take a look at another news that I want you guys to know, which is actually quite important. Don't leave just yet. If you haven't left already, please leave a comment down below. You made it to the end of the Sandbox changes. Let me know what you think of these Sandbox changes. Do you like them? Do you think they're wrong? Is there something that you would change from those? Also, if you would like to catch me live on twitch.tv/LordValGaming, I stream Destiny every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I would like to see you there. Now let's see what the Destiny 2 changes on Xbox Game Pass. Actually, this is quite interesting. So on December 8th, Destiny 2 and its expansions, Forsaken, Shadowkey, and Beyond Light, will leave Xbox Game Pass on console and cloud. Now, Destiny 2, it will still remain on Xbox Game Pass on PC. So it's leaving Game Pass and on console and cloud. It's not leaving PC just yet. So once Destiny 2 leaves Xbox Game Pass, players who don't own any of the expansions on the Xbox platform will lose access to campaign missions, expansion-specific activities like the raids, the dungeons, the hunts, the exo challenges, the Nightfall strikes, and access to Trials of Osiris, the Stasis subclass, which is Beyond Light specific, the middle 3 supers for each subclass, and the 10% off perk for silver purchases and other game add-ons. items such as exotics already acquired will still be available for players who earn them. Previously purchased season passes will still remain active, and players who wish to continue playing Destiny 2 on Xbox should look for Destiny 2 expansion discounts that will be available soon. So they're going to have discounts. Don't panic just yet. As a reminder, the Witch Queen will not be available on console or PC Xbox Game Pass when it launches on February 22nd. So those are the changes on the Xbox Game Pass. So those are actually quite good changes on the game, on Destiny, coming September and coming December as well. So like I said, there is a huge thing going on about Bungie and Destiny leaving Xbox Game Pass. Well, we had an amazing year. We could test everything out. I personally love the game. I love Destiny. I spent so much time, which I actually, I still bought all the expansions, and I think it's just the game is great and deserves, to be paid full price in my opinion. But obviously that's completely up to everybody. That just depends on how much you like the game, how much time you're gonna spend on the game, and this is what only you know if it's worth for you buying the game. With that said, thank you very much all for coming. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay up to date with everything Lord Val Gaming. And until next time, guys, bye bye.